Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be continuing on from the series I started in the previous video. And I'm going to talk about application to Canadian universities. And this is my advice as an IB student. Now, here you can see some Canadian universities. Canada is a very, very popular destination for all different kinds of students because it's known for its ability to be very inclusive to other cultures, and it's a very vibrant place. It's friendly, it's safe, and there's so many benefits of Canada. Many students who don't want to go to the US for particular reasons often go to Canada because, again, it's so close. Canada is a very well developed country, and they have a very liberal government. And of course, it's free from all the politics that is happening in the US. And that's also one of the reasons why I was inclining towards Canada initially. But I ended up going to the UK, and I'll explain why later. But for now, let's take a look at Canadian universities. I have a lot of respect for Canadian universities and the country, Canada, as well. So here you can see a few photos. This is the University of Toronto. This is the University of Toronto has three campuses. They have one in Toronto, which is the main campus, the St. George campus. They have one in Scarborough. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And the other one is in Mississauga. Now they're all close to each other. They're about 2-3 hours drive from each other. And I'll get into these different campuses later. So this is the one. This is the main one in Toronto. This is again University of Toronto, the main campus in Toronto. It's called the St. George's campus. This is also the St. George's campus. This is McGill University. McGill University is in a different province. So this University of Toronto is located in Ontario, which is one province, and McGill University is located in the Quebec province, which is more of the French-speaking province. And this is University of British Columbia, UBC. This is located in the British Columbia province. And this is again UBC, very beautiful campus, very beautiful place. It's in Vancouver. So Vancouver is sort of known as the San Francisco of Canada. It's on the West Coast. Now, I applied to all three of these universities and I got into all three of them. Now, that's not a brag. That is just me letting you on to something that Canadian universities are actually fairly easy to get into when compared to some of their North American counterparts, like universities in America. Canadian universities are not that selective. And remember, keep in mind, University of Toronto, McGill University, UBC, these are the top three universities in Canada. That's not to say they're bad. They're excellent universities. Some of them rank even above American universities, but they have a big acceptance, or they have a high acceptance rate because, one, their colleges are really big, so they can accept a lot of students who are coming. And second of all, Canada's population is much smaller than America's population. So the students who are going in to study or pursue higher education, there's a smaller population of local students who are going. That's why they're able to accept a lot of students who are also coming from outside, or international students. That's one difference, and that may also explain why the acceptance rates differ between top American universities and top Canadian universities. But they're all great institutions, they're all amazing institutions. So Canada is definitely a very good place to consider. Now, what is my advice? The very first thing would be that the system in Canada is very different to the system in the US or the UK for that matter. It's sort of like a hybrid of both. And why do I say that? In the UK, like I discussed in my earlier video, it's very standardized. In the UK, there's only one way for you to apply to universities, and that is through UCAS. And I've spoken all about that. That's the common portal which you use in the UK to apply to a maximum of 5 universities, right? You can't apply to more than that. You can actually, but there's an asterisk there. You can only apply to more if you have been rejected from all your 5 choices, and then you can apply to more. That's in the UK. In Canada, they have a portal as well. It's called UAC. And this is a portal for all the universities in the Ontario region. That's only in Ontario. So you can't apply to UBC or McGill using that portal. You can only apply to universities which are in the Ontario region. As for McGill, you have a separate application that you have to fill on McGill's website. And for UBC, it's the same thing. You have a separate application that you have to fill on UBC's site. So that's one difference. You have to apply to each university sort of individually, except for the universities which are in Ontario, because Ontario universities have their own common portal. That's one difference. Now, each university comes with its different application requirements. So, for example, for University of British Columbia, you have to write a few essays, not exactly essays, but short answer questions. The questions are very generic, like they ask you your activities, your hobbies. They ask you about what things are important to you in life. What are you proud of about yourself? So these are questions I wrote about. I'm not sure if they change every year or not, but that's for UBC. Whereas for McGill, there are no questions. You only have to submit your transcripts, your grades, your activities, and that's it. And maybe your standardized test scores. For the University of Toronto, it's the same thing. You have to submit your activities, your uh, grades, test scores, transcripts, and there is an optional essay. And again, I state that it's optional. You don't have to write it, but you can. And I chose to write it, but that's up to you. So you see a difference. There is different application requirements for each university. And now I'm only talking about the three that I know. There are many others. There's University of Alberta, there's University of Calgary, there's McMaster University, which is another very popular one. So when you apply, when you're choosing to apply, please take a look at each individual university and take a look at their requirements. Don't make the mistake where you assume that all of them are the same. And when it's the date to apply, or when you're applying, you realize that you don't have some things that they require you to have, or you're not prepared for some of them. So please take a moment and look at all their requirements. Second thing, which leads on from my previous point, each university has also specific requirements for IB grades. Now, they won't be very explicit with it. They won't be like UK universities, which expect you to have exactly specific grades in specific subjects. It's not like that. They will have maybe a general requirement, a boundary that you need to pass, and they may or may not have requirements for specific subjects, may or may not, right? So please check that out and make sure the course that you're applying for has what requirements it has and what you need to achieve in order to get into that course. Now, my third point is that don't only apply to the top three universities, right? Because even though their their admission rates are high, there are many factors that determine if you get in or not. It's not purely dependent on how well you do or how good your grades are, right? There are a lot of factors to consider. Maybe they received your application a bit late and there aren't enough spots left, or maybe there aren't many spots left and you have to compete with another student and the other student just has better grades. So there are many factors which can occur and make you not get into that specific university. Like, for example, when I was applying to UBC, I was really confident that I would get in, but I got waitlisted. Now, lucky for me, I got off the wait list, but I could have been rejected as well. So keep that in mind and apply to a variety of different universities. Apply to University of Toronto, apply to UBC, apply to McGill, but also apply to other universities like McMaster or University of Calgary, which is another great university. So keep a good spread of universities. That's what I'm trying to say. And my last and final point is that Canadian universities are really good universities. Don't ignore them. I've seen a lot of people who ignore Canadian universities. They consider it as B Tech America, which is completely not true. Canadian universities are really good. So strongly consider them if you are not already doing so. They're really good universities. They excel in a lot of courses. They're better than a lot of American universities. So do consider them. Now, coming to why I didn't go to Canada and why I chose to go to the UK instead. Well, one of the main reasons was that UK is much closer to where my family lives than Canada. Canada is very far away from me. And as someone who is going out for the first time to study in my family, I'm the first person who has ever gone outside to study. Um, I just didn't want to stay away from my family for that distance. I wanted to be able to visit them frequently. That's why I chose to go somewhere which was nearer. And that's something that you should also consider when you're picking your university, especially in Canada. If it is really, really far from your country, make a wise decision as to if you want to go or not. Because even though these universities are really great, you're going to be away from home. And if you're like me and you can't handle that, then you should probably think or give your decision a bit more thought. That is it from me for this video. But one last point before I forget to mention it. Canadian universities offer a lot of scholarships, many scholarships, full scholarships, unlike UK universities, which don't offer many. Canadian universities are like American universities and they offer tons of scholarships. So please, on the university website, check out these scholarships. What is available for you? What can you take the best advantage of? I didn't do this because I was feeling just really lazy. I just couldn't be, couldn't ask, but I wished I had. I wish I checked out the scholarships, and many of these scholarships have deadlines. So you have to apply before a particular deadline, and then only can you be considered for the scholarship. For example, for UBC, I believe the scholarship for one of their the deadline for one of their scholarships is December 15th. So you have to apply before that. You have to send in your application before December 15th if you want to be considered for the scholarship. So don't leave it to the end. Don't leave your application like a week or 2 weeks before the deadline. And I believe the deadline for almost all Canadian universities is January 15th. So don't do that. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in another video with another topic. I think I'll cover US universities next. And one quick hint, or I don't know, I guess a preview into that video before we leave, a difference between Canadian and US universities. Canadian universities don't require the SATs. It's not a must. You can write it. It may help you, but it's not a must. So the SATs is not really a requirement here. That's a little preview. I'll get into it next video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves and goodbye.